Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today's episode is being recorded on 11/15/25. This is a short Q&A, folks, keep not necessarily just the questions, but keep the show ideas coming. If you have a question, it will serve best as a show idea, because then we can expand on that one particular thing. So, before I do anything, I now open this circle to true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda, so that we may have this conversation in great understanding. And we ask for malevolent or mischievous type beings to be swept away, so that we may have this conversation in peace. And so with that, and with great blessings that we always send your way, we say so be it.
And so be it. So, I will get right to it. I'll make sure one thing. All right, there we go. And now, the affirmation and blessing. To the life of calm, may it be shared, and to the life of chaos, may it be calmed. That's it. So, first question.
This is a kind of political one. What was the handshake about between Macron and Trump?
Okay, that's the one where you saw him like gripping him really tight that time. Okay, this one was by Elena. Okay. This was a mark of dominance and submission, meaning who is truly in charge. Kind of move on the part of Trump. Get it? Yeah, this is exactly what was going on, because you all remember the envelope incident a while back at George H.W. Bush's funeral. Well, everybody associated that with the Q movement. That was actually them electing the cabal electing a family head or the cabal ascendancy election. That's why Jeb Bush kind of lost his shit there. He's like that. That's why. This is something similar where it's more of a dominance move, like, right, yeah, who's the boss right here. So that's what that was. So I thought that was actually kind of funny. So aside from all the other controversies that Macron was under, like with getting hit with his wife by his wife and everything, these are all embarrassing things that led up to who's in charge. That's essentially what I took from that. So we don't do a whole lot of political ones. Maybe a few of those could be fun.
Because it is the theater of puppets, people.
Theater puppets,
It
yeah.
really, really, really is. And it maybe again, there is not one side that's better than the other. It's both halves of the same coin playing around. They'll get along plenty of times, and then they won't get along plenty of times. And it's just a theater. It's been going on for quite a long time.
WWE. Yeah.
And just to make it clear, even though you see something like that, even Trump isn't the big cheese. So I think it's one of those things
Figurehead.
where, more of a figurehead. And it's been that way forever. Even to go back when Eisenhower, as we discuss things or whatever, he wasn't the big cheese either.
And he figured it out pretty quick.
He figured it out pretty quick. And, he had some problems with it, and thus we talked about his health problems. So again, it's so compartmentalized what's going on even within them that they don't really know who's really in charge. And again, their genetics have been groomed all of these years. They look for the genetic lines that have certain ways of being about themselves. They're groomed into the genetics, and they will play certain parts. And then again, whether they know it or not. And that's the key. I think people think that everybody is so knowing. They're not. It's in their genetics, and they groom it, and they groom for the long term, and they groom people for positions, lights, camera, action kind of things.
Yeah.
And so, believe me, the president of the United States or the president of any country is not the big cheese. If you know their names, it's just a part of the theater of puppets.
And you're dealing with multiple factions too. This is why you have some that look like they're doing that the deep state or the cabal is doing one thing, and that they're doing something that's opposite. It's because you're dealing with two families or two factions, to be more accurate, volleying things at each other. It's people conglomerate into one blob. It's fractured. So it just they have a moot every now and again. That's the envelope thing, but yeah, this is how it is. And also cabal, Martian, German, all these things are separate. So there's different factions, folks. Different methodologies, different strokes for different folks, pretty much. So you're seeing different things. So people just kind of conglomerate because they've all been told one thing. And the almighty powerful cabal or the almighty powerful deep state, that's not how it is. So I just wanted to put that out there. So next one.
Okay. Who or what type of forest person is the legend of Boggy Creek? Is it Falk Monster?
Mm-hmm. Based off of,
Yeah, who's it based off of?
Yeah, this one was by Hajamal. I thought this was actually fascinating. The Fog Monster. This is one of the most famous the Sasquatch cases of all time. The Legend of Boggy Creek. That's that monster out of Falk, Arkansas, I believe. So it is Hajamal here with a simple answer to this question. He, or should I say, his species is an offshoot of my Anakam blood, but is also an offshoot of the normal, regular Sasquatch forest people, genetic lineages. The three-toed monster, or Fok monster, as some refer to them as, is a mix of dogmen genes and forest person genes. Odd, I know, but it has been known to happen. This is why, Chris, you could not tell which species the Fok monster truly is. And FYI, the Dragon Man of China is a Neanderthal cousin. This is like the Fok monster, etc. Hajamal. So yeah, the Dragon Man is one in China, another derivative of a cryptid like that. It's been labeled Dragon Man, but at the same time, it's not a dragon. It's this particular type of situation, just like you have the cat dragons there in China and Japan. You're seeing some kind of mixes of things like that over there. That's why people couldn't tell the difference between cat, dog, dragon thing. It's because there's mixes going on. So, okay. All cats are dragons, by the way. So, and guardians of portals, things of that nature, along with some dogmen. So, we can move on to the next one.
When writing is it Casca? When writing the Casca book series, was the author and Green Beret Barry Sadler channeling information about some of the Mosins, such as Nigel Roberts, seeing as he utilizes the Vietnam style or uniforms and clothes of that period of time and is similar to Henry Cavill's ungentlemanly warfare group?
Yeah, this is actually fascinating. Nigel Roberts, he's somebody that we actually saw in our SSP time frame. I nicknamed him the Dread Pirate Roberts. So I thought that one thing, I will give context for this one before we move on to the answer. This one needs context. At the last conference we went to, the 2025 Disclosure Now conference, there was a Velodian healing done on me. A dream that I had slightly after that was me and Joanna and several Mozen watching a screen of a group that were in ghoul masks. It was a drone point of view. A group wearing ghoul masks in a Cambodian or Vietnamish type village, whereas they were burning it down, a stick village. And they were all proud. We were laughing about it and everything, and they were all proud at the end when they started really catching this thing on fire. They're all standing, about 6 or 7 of them, standing arm in arm, going, yeah, like that, like they just done something really cool. What happened there, he's given me permission to talk about it now. At first, I couldn't say anything, but that the taller one in the group was actually, I knew that was Nigel. So he's a Mozen that utilizes the Vietnam style. Casca in the book series, in the Sentinel, the book The Sentinel, he actually was in Vietnam in that particular book, basically fighting the different factions, trying to get them to stop fighting. In that, trying to get all sides, including the United States, to stop fighting in that. So essentially trying to do things in the background. Henry Cavill's Ungentleman Warfare group movie is exactly kind of the vibe you would expect from Nigel Roberts and his group. So I will read the answer. Nigel Roberts here, Chris, with only one answer. Yes, this was based upon things that not only Barry Sadler witnessed as a Green Beret, but did himself. The burning stick village being one of many that burned. Hee hee. Casca, Soldier of Fortune. Oh, Soldier of Fortune, not the Sentinel. Excuse me. That was the first book I read was or heard on CD was Sentinel. It's actually Soldier of Fortune. Sorry, was about this very thing. I will soon talk about more about it. Chris, bye for now. Muhaha, Nigel Roberts. So yeah, basically I remember nicknaming him the Dread Pirate Roberts for this reason. So I thought that was actually quite interesting. Barry Sadler's Casca is fairly violent, but it's based upon Barry Sadler's life. He ended up committing suicide, unfortunately, because of PTSD. I felt like he himself was also fueling this answer. Like he and Nigel Roberts are like this. So I feel like there's some Mosin commonality there, and I'm getting a validation to this. So it's I thought that was actually quite interesting. Sometimes when people pass away, they're actually going back to that group by which they've come from, and I feel that's exactly what took place. Like he wasn't supposed to be right here. I don't know if it was a fake death thing, but I feel like he went back to Nigel and his group like he was part of that, like Green Beret-ish types. So, okay, next question.
Do any of you get a favorite or not so favorite song stuck in your head?
All right, this one was by Nadia. That is Elena's sister. So, yes, quite often. In fact, V2K sometimes has nothing on good old-fashioned thought redundancy. Hee Nadia. Now, what that means is like if something gets stuck in your head, it cycles, like how you have the Tibetan monks over in Tibet cycle mantras through their subconscious. Your subconscious can cycle songs, things it's heard, and whip them around in there too, and the brain can go a little stupid over it. V2K exploits this ability, just like aliens exploit the natural paralysis ability people have when they're sleeping. They essentially, people wake up during it and they're paralyzed. The aliens have wanted to keep people that way. People get the alarm in their head and wake up during it. During this, though, it's a similar thing where the V2K is exploiting an already a natural ability. Something you have. They're not shoving it in your head. They're making the brain cycle more. It's harder for them to shove it there versus get the brain to follow an OCD pattern. That's what it's easier for that to take place. It's basically it's work smarter, not harder on their part. They get you to do it to yourself and not in cycling thoughts. They get the cursed cycling thoughts in your head, and you snowball it out of control all on your own. And you start to co-create crap because you think that when's the next shoe going to drop in worrisome situations. And in song situation, you're like, oh, why is this stuck in my head? I'm tired of this being stuck in my head. Well, you're already seeing as a foregone conclusion that it's being stuck in your head. So therefore it is. Therefore, they just mind whammied you to whammy yourself.
Now, that's the bad side of it.
Yeah.
There's a good side of it too.
Oh, yeah.
So there's always both sides. So the good side of it is, songs that generate joy or happiness or motivation or different things like that you yourself like to go to listen to feel more centered, more grounded, more uplifted. So sometimes, again, within our minds, we've also set up songs and different things, not as a way to be tricked or hurt or whatever. So what we're trying to say is usually things are used for both purposes.
Both purposes.
We can get stuck in our heads as well as we can be uplifted.
Mhm.
So it can be both. We're just going with the fact that, sometimes it's really used against you.
Yeah, it's
but
used
it's
against you.
also something that can be very, very helpful to you as well.
Yeah, like your own co-creative abilities, like a Draco trying to hijack your co-creative abilities. Like I said, with that projection where I saw Joanna dying and all this other stuff, and I turned it around and put my name as an executive producer director on it, and then faded it to black. That was my way of flipping it the positive creative direction. That was more forceful, abusive. I used to say that the V2K was like every single time something got stuck in your head, oh, somebody stuck it there. Yes, telepathy can do this too, but as you said, there's a positive side where your soul is actually trying to get you to gravitate towards a particular song as well. So it's the yin and yang in this
So the
particular.
question is always, how's it making you feel? What's
Yeah.
it making you do?
Are you
You
forced
know?
into an OCD, or do you have an
Right.
affinity? Is
Is
there a
it,
rope?
is it something that's helping you come
No.
out of something where you feel inspired, creative, in a positive way, uplifted? So you've
Or you're
gotta
being roped,
discern,
yeah.
yeah, you've gotta discern which one is which.
Like I said in past shows, affinity or roped. Affinity, you have an affinity for something. Roped, you're being yanked towards it. Like for a like if you absolutely have to have a song, or absolutely or not a song, but have to have a house, or if you have to listen to a song a certain number of times, like 3 or 4 times, or you absolutely have to have a certain pattern in place. That's a roping. If you're flowing towards it, that's an affinity. I've explained this in other shows. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, but you get what I'm saying. So we'll go on to the next one.
What is Chernunnos?
Carnunus.
Cernunnos. Okay, what is Cernunnos? And what is his association with the boatman and or ferryman Cheiron in Greek mythology? As well as what was his torque for? What, if any, association does he have to the Morgan, Hecate,
Hecate.
and or nature itself?
Carnunus is essentially the horned god of the Celtic world, and he's a demigod. Bjorn and I came across him in a session where he was this horned demigod that people were worshiping, one of the demigods, and he's come up as a coin too, folks. That's another thing that spurred the questioning as well. So this was a question that kind of wrote itself. This is kind of like Spirit doing this, but it wrote itself. And somebody doesn't want me reading this, because this was Ragnar that gave us this answer. Wow, that is a push. Like this. So that's like a real push. All right, I'll get through this one. Well, let's break this down, shall we? Ragnar here to say that this question only requires one definitive answer only, and that is he was a slave that became royalty amongst the other demigods. His torque, which is those rings you see him wear, like the earrings, torque, and the neck pieces and everything, that's a torque. So his torque is one of his chain links, like shackles, that he kept and turned into a symbol of distinction and royalty to one up the others. You see, don't you, Rain Man, that he used a symbol of oppression and convinced the general public that it was something other than what it was intended as. Now, his association with the others is that guy, right? Meaning this video I was watching, this guy that I was watching. I'll put the link below. It was a random synchronicity that popped up about Cornunus on YouTube. So it was a web page that had a YouTube video on it. I'll put the link below. I have it bookmarked here. So somewhat, because since Shiva and Enlil are the very same individual, one can see who indeed invented him. He is not a tulpa, nor a genetic freak, but that of his son bound in chains, meaning he was Enlil's son. He was the Minotaur in the maze that Theseus killed, quote unquote. He merely degrounded from Midgard and reconstituted elsewhere. That means he has Asgardian genes. Just like in that defunct TV series, Hercules' Legendary Journeys. The Minotaur ended up being Hercules' half-brother, of which he is more like Pan now, cursed but alive, damning and condemning his father, as he should. But here is the catch. He is just as bad. Like father, like son. Carrion was the most active slave period, meaning the ferryman in Greek mythology to the underworld, the island of the dead. You see that in Clash of the Titans, by the way, the old one with Harry Hamlin, along with the same time frame as Hercules' true legendary journeys. The Gunstrap Cauldron, Gundustrap Cauldron, that is a metal cauldron depicting Cornunus, by the way. That was a cauldron to both summon Cornunus and drink his blood. Now, You know where this is going, don't you? No? This is exactly what you saw many years ago in a session where you saw druids in horn helmets drinking blood and becoming vampires. This also goes for Hercules in that defunct show, whereas Morgan drank blood to get the power of Cornunus. Hunted the Demon Forge, whereas Alara and or Kadok, depending on which character you choose, drinks the silver slop. Black goo derivative, and eventually corrupts, just like the Morgan character in Hercules' Legendary Journeys. And that was a long, drawn out answer. This one may be expanded on a GIC. I feel this is more of a GIC territory right here, going into this further with Carnunus, but I feel that this should have been a GIC one, but at the same time, this is something that Ragnar wanted to get out. I thought that was actually quite interesting. So if people want to see an expansion on the Cornunus legendary stuff, let me know. So in the comments below. So all right, and I was asking Ragnar, does he have a vampire virus? And he said not anymore. And he said goodbye at that point. And so I thought that was actually quite interesting. Because years ago, I will leave context for this. I was seeing in visions druids drinking blood and growing horns, and I thought that was actually weird. And also in Lincoln, Nebraska, in St. Mary's Cathedral downtown, and somebody's screwing with my eye as I'm talking about this. Um, uh, Man, that's really messing me up. But there was a picture of a horned priest with not the mitre hat, horns, and with a child coming in the background being offered to the guy with horns. It was the child trafficking thing that was going on with the reptilian cult, vampiric cult. You get what I'm saying. So that also has to do with the Christ conversation with the children being used for the adrenochrome thing. So you're going to see that in GIC as well for the Christ episode. So, or have by now, by the time you've seen this. So, at any rate, this is where we are. There wasn't very many questions associated with this episode today. And I'm going to try, if we have a Q&A like this, I'm going to try to keep them shorter and split them up into other episodes like this. So, the one talking to the person talking today is actually going to be Michael Jackson because he was jumping at the bit to actually channel again. He has been leading me to other synchronicities, to other things about his life, some of which I'm not going to mention right now, and he does not want that mentioned. Just know that story of his, even as far as expansive as we've talked about it on here, and I will continue to do question answer with him, this is far more expansive than I thought it was. So yeah, I don't think he's going to go into that part of his story right now. Just know other channelers that are out there aren't completely getting him. They're getting pieces of his story, but then the mouth is interceding. And I'm not dumping on my fellow channelers. I'm just saying sometimes they get it completely wrong. With Ozzy, they got him right, I noticed, and got him wrong. Michael Jackson's the same thing, but he's saying more often than not they've been getting his story incorrect. So for the most part. He said he came to me because he thought I was more accurate, but yeah, thank you, but still,
Sometimes you get it wrong.
sometimes I get it wrong.
We do our
Man,
best. Everyone does their best.
somebody screwed with my eye there for a minute. If you see me screw with my eye, that somebody was trying to distract me while I was reading that. Somebody was very pissed off. I was reading the Cornelius material. So, and it has to do a lot with you think foreign worlds are colliding here. They're not. They're all linked across time to the same materials, the same subjects, just in modern day, from Michael Jackson all the way back to Cornelius. So it's the same thing, just regurgitated and reused from ancient times too. No, with the demigod worship still very active today. So hate to say. And okay, true banana, true bananas. All right. So, Benevolent Michael Jackson, you are welcome to come in. There is something tracking you. Give me a moment. My chest is getting tight. I don't want it to end up like a Bowie situation here. So, all right. No, all right. You'll make it quick. Okay. The crystal, please. That's rough, Michael. That's a little rough. Hang on. Okay. Yes, this is Michael Jackson. The reason there's such blowback is because he linked ancient to modern. The demigod worship is he says, very active in multiple areas. And he linked the Christ to the vampire to, even though it is oxidized adrenaline and caused a high, there was also the vampiric garbage in the background. With the children, he linked to the church and made it like almost like a verbal meme. That's what pissed them off. If you juxtapose these things next to each other. He also saw, he's been seeing a series of videos, and I will say, on me directing things and directing productions about myself and other things like ghost or thriller, things of this nature, that I had fun creating productions. This is true. One could argue I'm doing this now, but no. I am actually, how can I put this? As I've said in previous Q&As, able to lend a voice to these overall concepts. Did I disguise myself as other people from time to time so I could walk amongst the public like I do in spirit now? Yes, of course. I sit in movie theaters, I walk amongst people, and I see what is actually being said. As I said, now I can have a go-between, but I hop from one to the other sometimes. But I don't have an affinity for some of those people. They've become too interlocked into the weave, interlocked into the narrative, interlocked into the Hollywood narrative or three-letter agency narrative. And this is true. They tried to get your Sylvia Brown at one point, but it didn't quite work. And some people accuse her of chronovisoring something, being an agent, and then letting information out about multiple timelines. She can talk to this if she wishes at some point. In fact, she's listening to me talk now. That's why I brought her up. But you can ask me questions if you like. She'll probably speak in a second. So you can ask me questions if you like.
So I have not had the opportunity to speak to you in quite a while. I know that Chris and others have. So just for myself and for other people's listening, can you quickly just kind of surmise your journey of where you are now compared to when Chris and others first met you here not too long ago?
Yes, I was in a bit of trouble myself. I was bound to the earth. I had a dangerous altar that had been inserted into my energy. It infects the spirit. It's like with adrenochrome. He saw a video recently where it said it kind of infects the spirit. Very much like his Skyrmore, they said the werewolf virus infects the spirit. It seeps into the spirit or the soul. And this is true because the soul remembers everything. My journey from family abusive, Kabbalist, satanic garbage from day one, from the day I popped out to the day that I died. I was embroiled in narratives and in altars and, unfortunately, trafficking. Were the accusations accurate? Unfortunately, but this was a dangerous altar. Like, think Fight Club. Whereas you had one not recognizing the other, or one turning into the other. You would say someone got shoved into their big toe. This is what happened to myself. I, as the oversoul, wished to come in, and Spirit heckled me for a long time. Ragnar heckled me for a while to get me to reintegrate all parts and pieces. You can take an altar that was the expression of oversoul, that expression of oversoul, and get that to be reabsorbed into the library, like what you do with your SSP memory. And then everything's integrated properly. You saw that in your Moon Knight with your Mark Spector and Stephen Grant type of deal. That's what I'm talking about. My life was made up of not only narratives, but there was some fun where I ousted, like an Iberian girl ousted, a lot of these celebrities that were in that. Some were good, like your Carl Weather. Others, I was basically saying I was above them in the camera and watching all their moves. In Hollywood, I still watch all their moves. I'm above them, finally. They cannot touch me. They cannot touch true spirit. They cannot touch its influence. As I moved along in my life, I became more and more susceptible to targeting. Gene Hackman ran into this as well. And you noticed that I was getting more and more sickly. I was actually getting more and more afraid to leave the house because of sicknesses and viruses. I and my kids are not my own. You'd say I adopted them, but I couldn't have children because of a castration earlier on. They're linked, some are linked to my DNA, some are even clones. That's why the DNA matches. This is how far down the rabbit hole this information goes. All the marriages were cabal families from one to the other. Even Elvis's family was integrated into this. He saw a video about this recently, where somebody accused Elvis of horrible things. And Elvis accused them back of projecting. And that is true. Did he do the things he was accused of? No, but was he around the people that did? Yeah, he was. As was I, and they mentioned James Dean as well, being around these things, but these were the people that wanted to help change these things. Unfortunately, I got embroiled in an altar when they got better at creating altars and fracturing and breaking someone's mind, because it was done earlier on as a child. They noticed that children are more malleable, like in your time travel program. Adults get more, adults in that were getting fractured because of the multiverse, and then they chose children. In these programs, they choose children now because they can groom. Grooming is key to this. They notice this. They've gotten this pattern down pat. Some don't know they've been groomed. So, some are like what you call sleeper agents, inborns, things of this nature. Inborns are just shoved into their big toe as well. Whatever the original personality was going to be, supplanted by another consciousness. Some are just pure evil.
And so, when you talk about this and you talk about all of this, as we've talked about things like the presidency and things like that, I think it's hard to wrap your head around the fact of genetic grooming, of really certain aspects of personality and certain aspects of how you operate. Because again, when we talked what we did at the conference, we knew there was a time where it went from kings or queens of old. The populace is getting huge. Somehow it has to be melded together, and you need figureheads because the real big operatives are behind the scenes, and then you need the puppets, and then you need the real figureheads to come out. And like you're saying right now, people may not actually understand who they are. And I'm not saying that they had all of them like James Dean, or people had evil traits they maybe didn't want. But we we completely stand by the fact that if they were not going to give up on you right away. But if they cannot, and you start to turn, they have no problems getting rid of you. They have no problems killing.
No, this is what happened to me, yes.
Yeah, and so they have no problems doing that. Although the goal is, again, for a while, can we still move them into the family approved direction? Can we get them, or can we lean into a trait that they have and still manipulate it to use it? Where some people end up being the anti to something because but believe it or not, it's still controlled within the family. It's just like, well, this is unfortunate. How can we use this to our advantage? And I think it's very difficult for people to wrap their minds around these genetic lineages and what's really been done to them. So some of them as evil can be, some is not. and so I'm not saying at all that it's weird because again, I'm anti this, you know how I feel, but there's part of me that's like, man, I feel for the people born into this, especially the ones that I have a bit of that have a bit of that resilience gene to not fall for it. Their
Yes.
lives are hell.
Yes, he was skeptical about myself because of this very thing, because of the heaviness, because of the history, as was Bjorn as well. And Spirit kind of not necessarily ostracized me, but segregated that altar so that it could be reintegrated properly. This is why Ragnar lovingly called me the diddler, because of the fact he was trying to goat out that altar to be then reintegrated. See, Spirit wanted the reintegration more than anything, but now that it has been done, I can freely talk. He just pissed off somebody by comparing ancient, like I said, to modern.
Well, again, because they do not want people understanding how long.
Yeah.
And again,
They want people to think it's new. It's not.
right. Nothing is new here. It's just there is awareness coming into being so that people then can have a choice of what they want moving forward and start co-creating better and understanding it. But I always said it's a terrible tangled yarn of mess. And that's one of the reasons, unless somebody is so truly nasty to your face, we don't really talk about people because it is a complicated yarn barn full of just mess. And these family lines are completely hosed up. And, God forbid you have, any sort of genetics that try to keep you more, let's just say on the caring benevolent side, your life will be hell within that family. And you won't know why. It's so compartmentalized that they don't know who they're really linked to genetically.
Yes.
So it's one of those things that everybody, will come up and say, wait a minute, if you really look at the genetic tree, all these presidents seem to come from the same place, right? Now they're not with George Soros, the information has come out, but everyone's thinking it was just him as far as putting together places to groom the next rising
It's still
people.
going on because they're grooming to look like something has moved on when it has not.
Right, and then they'll throw somebody on the bus if it becomes noticed. So now it's George Soros is the big bad guy for all this years of grooming people for their positions later on. But if you think it was just him, but they'll throw people out. They'll throw a fish every now and then to people, and then hope that people will forget it and be able to let it go. So I think again, this is the kinds of stuff that goes on, but it is so, I personally feel, difficult to grasp in your head how big and what it really means, all of this. I think, it really is where people, again, they've got to get out of the savior mentality. They really have to understand who they are, and it's their energetics and it's their co-creative skills that are going to move humanity in a different way, or this monster machine is going to find a way to corrupt your energies and get you still pulled into another direction.
Yes. Even if you don't know or realize that you've been corrupted somewhere, chances are there's something deep down, especially been around who I've been around. There's something deep down that has been changed. Just like that old phrase, you think you're changing the devil, but the devil's changed you. That is very true in that industry. People go into it thinking that they're going to create and that they'll mold, but they themselves have been molded. You would say mind whammied without ever knowing it. You see, the three-letter agencies also have their mitts in there, like Paramount, for instance. And I will say this, because this is being changed as we're talking. During your recent riots, they joked about that being the Bell riots from Star Trek because it was a little off. It was in 2025, but the other one was 2024. Close enough. On the back Paramount lot, you saw the the bricks being laid, and the weapons being placed, because it was a set. These agencies are good at causing false flags. They use the film industry a lot for these. I was abhorrent to that, not just the demigod worship. I was abhorrent to the fact that creativity was not being pronounced, first and foremost. In time, this will become this and morph this. In time, creativity will belong to each individual once again, of which it just does. It does. But you have to make that so. No Trek pun intended. I'm leaving those Trek nuggets for a reason, by the way. Some of that was a political spiel. Other things that Roddenberry would be the first to admit this. And he even admitted that he was into narratives and such. But there's good there, too. There's a lot of good there. People have gravitated to good things there. But then it split off and became its own cult. This is why Shatner was abhorrent to this. But I will not go on to, if he passes, he can tell his own story. But at any rate, in this, I must pass this to Sylvia. She came with me today. So I personally am requesting more outlets like this, where it's a miscellaneous category, because this actually helps more than you realize. So, okay. I thank you for me utilizing this voice box again. I know I've been rather vague because there is a bit of information that must be gathered by himself in order to complete this picture. So, and just know that things of the Diddy case are fluctuating. They may seem like he may get out of prison. They may seem like people are not being punished, but it is happening. It is happening. It is being dismantled. I will not give away any operatives that are in place, but it is being dismantled by good people. Not white hat and black hat. That's cliche. But there are those there that are helping. Valiant Thor is one of them with some of his, but there's others as well. And you have Nigel Roberts and all of these. Now, are some of the beings that you've come across the operatives of those of which I spoke via the whole Star Trek-y masking, let's say? Yes, but a lot of that's fallen away. You used to run into that. So I will pass it over to her because she's getting impatient and crotchety. So, thank you for letting me speak. And I may not sound completely like me. It is because I'm, you'd say, higher up, more cliche sounding, but you understand. Yes. First time for everything, I suppose. Though I was very public in my assessments of things. I didn't always realize that I was getting some multiplicitous information. I would pick up on things. I would do things as you guys do. And even in the book Prophecy, where I wrote about future timing, about there being a last and final president, the true president. This is what you're running across now. A variation on a theme, even though you jump timelines. Edgar Casey did this as well. You jump timelines. Or sometimes you get information that might be multiplicitous in nature about even ancient history. I'll let him speak to this at some point. Well, he'll let himself. In a moment, friend. But in this, I wished to bring across that people have surmised in your conspiracy theory crowd that I was more of an agent in the background. This has popped up very recently of late. And I have to say no to that. It is because of the fact I was picking up on the very same things you did. Even if some things coming through weren't necessarily completely true, I was getting fragmentaries and pieces. Now, with this, I'll just go into two questions or I'll continue to battle.
Well, my son would buy me almost every book that came out, although he referred to you as the crazy lady. But he did that
Some of my
out of
information had bad juju on it. That's why you had to get rid of some of my stuff too. Yeah.
right. But so this is a surprise. Didn't expect this today. So I don't care. Your name is mentioned in it, and I feel a bit of joy because I think reading some of your materials really did expand me to the point where I just kind of opened up, and this side of me really opened up. So I really appreciate your contributions here. I really do. You bring joy. You bring joy to me. Now, I mean, I know specifically that we struggle, as well with, are we bringing out something that isn't corrupted? We don't want to be bringing out information that's being used as a narrative. We know the struggle.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I struggled with that. Yes.
Did you? That was my question to you. So for you during your time here, when you reflect and look down, did you actively know what we're talking about right now? That what should I talk about? What shouldn't? Is this real? Is this not real?
Yes, I questioned this all the time. I even had the supposed brain tumor moment, like you felt at one point. Am I having a stroke? Things of this nature. But I went through that earlier in life. Sonia Fitzpatrick was the same way with the animal communications, where she had trauma with somebody cooking her goose friends. That would be horrible in my opinion. But with this, I'm having trouble communications wise. But with this, yes, I struggled with that for many years. What am I actually putting out there? This is why Michael Jackson, now I'm saying this to him too, and you, be careful what you put out. Because he saw a phrase recently on a Michael Jackson video. Be careful what you do, because the lie can become the truth. And that is a very, very accurate statement right now. Because yes, what the predictions I made, yes, some came true, some did not, and some were further out in years than not, because everything's everywhere is happening all at once. There still is time. Unlike what Dolores Cannon said about her not having time, there still is a time because it's being measured in the programs. They made it, the agencies made it so time was more of a shackle to people, and they're like, oh no, it doesn't exist, but it does. We want you to live in it as a slave. You're on a prison planet. You see the scam going on here? You're not on a prison planet. You're not in a prison frequency. You're not in an anus universe. You are what you are. It's easier for them to manipulate you than it is for them to actually shackle you. Remember this, you shackle yourself at that point. So with this, I struggled with this, put out the different books that I did with the channeled material and what I felt was true in that moment.
There's nothing wrong with that. Were you aware of the fact of, the multiple layers, the multiverse or whatever?
Mhm.
I mean, if you were familiar with that, I think one of the big questions is, what am I seeing? Where am I seeing it? When am I seeing it? And so you're right.
Casey ran into that too.
Well, right. So it seems to me it's one of those things that I'm glad it's being spoken about more, because I do believe people are seeing things. It's just the fact that they may not have context as to where, when, which version. And so it does become difficult, you know what I mean, to say. So that's why we've gotten off the bandwagon of doing predictions, of doing things. We may see things where energies are favored
Yes.
for something to occur, but it's not. It is so hard to do when you really understand the complexity of it all. It's really, really hard to do.
For the most part, keep predictions to yourself.
Mhm.
Just like the whole disclosure date to full disclosure, there is no such thing because it's all out in the open.
Mhm.
You're disclosing what exactly? There's lie mixed with truth. And as I said before, be careful what you do because the lie becomes the truth. This is what the major conundrum is right now.
Right. And it's best to, if you have recall or whatever, just share your experience, call it an experience.
Yes.
And just share it. But I would stay away from talking about something that you may not have a memory of, but somebody is telling you that maybe you were involved in something, but you have no direct memory of. I would kind of stay away from that. Honestly, I think people don't value that they have enough personal experiences
Yes.
to go ahead and just share and talk about, because that's what,
They
again,
want you to blather it out and foam at the mouth, basically, with stuff right away. Don't do that.
yeah, don't do.
Simmer on it a little bit.
Simmer on it, see if things come back to you. And again, just do your best in conversation about, different things and hold on to that thought. But I do have to give credit where credit was due. I think you did open the hearts and minds for people to start to expand their consciousness on what you had done. And especially,
That's what my oversoul came in to do.
you accomplish that. And especially in the area at the time of people who loved their pets and animals. And with this great, I had my own personal experience that answered that question for me, from when someone who was a friend of mine passed and came back to me in a very, it wasn't a dream. It's one of those things you don't ever forget. It's way more vivid than a dream, to say something that shared with me that I knew the answer because of what was shared. But for you, you also wrote books and wrote things to help people expand that, and brought a lot of joy and peace to people, even in talking about what happened to the animals and what happens and things like that. So
Yes.
I just got to give you credit where you would due. Were you perfect on everything? No one is.
No.
And
There's so much interference, especially now. So.
yeah, so I can't believe you're here. So I'm grateful. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking just a second just to be with us. Thank you.
This is why you see me only talking in spurts like this, because there are other channelers that say they've spoken to me. There are the capitalists in this, which I don't blame people for wanting money, but at the same time, there are those that jump on these things saying, "Oh, I spoke to this," and sensationalize it, and they did this to Charlie Kirk as well. He is one that is refusing to speak at the moment, because there's too much targeting surrounding him. He wants to talk about his story, but give him time.
Oh, yeah.
Give him time.
My goodness.
He will come to you when he's able, or when the timing is correct. He didn't wish to sensationalize the algorithm. He wanted to offset. Offsetting is the key to get the information truly out there, by the way. So be careful. He also wants it to be offset enough to where it isn't as close to the date where he got assassinated. So just know that he is not always the one giving the information out there. So there's one more individual that wishes just to briefly speak. Yes, I am now being pushed aside. Also, yes, friend, briefly, they got shit to do. So briefly, do not be long-winded. Where do I begin? You knew me in life as Edgar Casey, the sleeping prophet. They say accuse me of being long-winded. True, that's more my oversoul, actually. It can infinitely speak on infinite subjects. But do I wish to clear up something? To clear the air? Yes. You can add this to your Jesus conversation that you do tomorrow. Did I misinterpret some things I was seeing because I was given information from the ethers about him? Yes. Now I know that that was more of a Roman scam, but was there a man I was looking at? Yes. Did I say it was under Tiberius? Yes, but it was really under Octavian. Yes, but that's not why I came in to talk. If you wish me to speak tomorrow on this, I'll be more than happy. But this is the key to, how can I put this? A key to having great messages and great filtration is to not have vices. I had a drinking vice. This was a detriment. Eliminating toxins eliminates ghoul attraction. Remember that they see it as a walking death because they're stupid, but they're integrated into the Earth's life and death cycle. They were invasive species. They were Neanderthalic in nature. They're cannibalistic in nature, but the Earth integrated them because your Anunnaki created them back in the day before any other hominidic beings from outside or humans from outside came through. They were meant more as a worker race and or builder, and they went out of control, more orcish in nature. But again, not why I'm here. We can give a history lesson some other time. He once also cited that maybe I was a member of the Gardner family because of the gardening of the timelines. I have to say yes to that, but through cousinship. I did not know this in life. But not all of us are of an evil thread. They may have gardened your Wright brothers with Lester Gardner and the photographing of the historic flight, or during Captain Kidd's trip to Gardner Island, they may have thrown him under the bus, or they may have influenced Jamestown and Yorktown and all of those, and whoop-de-ding-dong. But in this, I must say that the key to having proper messages all the time, or almost all the time. Grounding, filtration, no vice, separation from influence as much as you can. Sometimes isolation, but when isolation becomes a burden, you must then walk amongst the people to unburden the isolative regression or anxieties. Now, you have questions for me?
Well, yeah, I would, for any of you guys, I would have 50,000 questions, but we can't do that today. So I do appreciate you coming. And you're right. I think I like when the information about when you were here having a vice, again, you had the private person and then you had the person when he was in trance.
The behind the scenes and the public me.
It's important because again, even with Sylvia, even with
And
yourself.
Michael and them, they all did the same. Yeah.
Exactly. That there are real people with real struggles and, real, whatever going on that are doing their best to do something. Again, as we've said before, whether you're part of a cabal line or not, you probably never know, but certain traits are used and then certain abilities, if they can be used on behalf of and give glory somehow somewhere else, they're going to be done. But you struggled with a bunch of issues too. That's just how it goes.
Yes.
So my curiosity is because we did go down to and went into your library, which is a phenomenal, unbelievable place, honestly, to see. Are there any particular bits of, let's just say, general bodily healing techniques or anything that you feel hold the test of time and things that you've done for people? I'm just curious what you think now looking back.
Different elixirs, different alchemies. Like he saw a special with somebody was portraying me that talked about things like oil of smoke and things of this nature that existed back then. They've now turned into certain, unfortunately, unfortunately, they've been corrupted with pharmaceuticals, but certain pharmaceutical traits. Other cabal families waving their genitalia at people. But would I recommend, or what stood the test of time? The removal of attachments, the removal of entity possession. And I was able to see some of these things as well, uh, or the totality oversoul anyway. Was I able to do the energy scans in waking world? Yes, with limitations. But it was more like sometimes a Jekyll and Hyde, where the human was different than the oversoul, the personality, and sometimes that's the case. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's a reflection, a mirror. Then sometimes it's a contrary, because the oversoul wishes to experience a contrary. But in my case, the most tried and true are entity attachment removal and alchemic formulas, some of which have been locked away, just like what happened with Tesla's material. The government confiscated it. The totality of my library is not there, not here in Virginia Beach. Some of it is underground, along with Tesla's material. So you know when it is really good, when they confiscate. When it's 100%, they take it. And I don't want to scare anyone, but that's usually what happens. Usually there is a yield factor somewhere, unfortunately, that even if it's a tiny, tiny, minuscule, like near zero, well, less than a hundredth of or thousandth of a percent, some that have hit 100% have been taken and confiscated. It still exists because just like with Caesar taking the Library of Alexandria, he burned it for the rest of the world and stored it away in Rome and eventually became the Vatican Library. What do you think that the practice that they're continuing to do? They understand the value of the information, but then they know and they understand the value of the butterfly effect because it bounces around all the place and people grab it, like myself, or like Tesla did as well, and others that were continuing to do it with the free energy pursuits and everything, of which that's been heavily convoluted in your channeling world, by the way. But they take it, or they utilize the person as their own agent, even if the person doesn't realize it. Avoid certain subjects like free energy for the moment. Avoid like cancer cures and things of this nature for a while. Because I too delved into that and they took a lot of this. I even saw ahead in the future some of the viruses they would create, like AIDS and things of this nature, and HIV and all that. They didn't want that out there. They didn't want their plan over many decades ruined. Some of the things that they would like you to believe that they planned out a long fucking time. No, they did a little bit. And they have plan A, B, C, D, F, G, all the way to Z. You get them to Z, they're going to be very pissed off, and they would use more like the force, like your Orwell spoke of. He can always come in at some point to speak about all these subjects. But at any rate, the point. No, you will not talk. All right, thank you, George. But that's his choice. Just one message he wanted me to pass along was that you are running into some of what he wrote now. Somebody is using his material as a guidebook, like they're using mine as a guidebook. Please don't do this. It was a preventative, in some cases, not a Bible. Yes, I will let you speak in a moment. Yes, I'm not translating it correctly. All right, give me a moment, George. This is not a conga line.
I know, it's feeling like it.
George, you will be the last one to talk today. I realize that, say his name and he shall appear, but George, give me a moment. He's more impatient than you think. He's slightly melodramatic.
I wouldn't have known.
He's a bit of a method actor. But at any rate, what I will say to all this is this. The most poignant information that is nearly flawless is the alchemic information and the attachment removal. Because they know if people get into the attachment removal, it can be basically a unending perpetual motion machine because they're constantly around and constantly coming back. So remove, maintenance. That's why that was allowed to state it. Past lives information, correct. And then of course some of the Egypt stuff was convoluted and the Jesus stuff was convoluted. So
Real quick, medically though, one of the simple things, do you agree with this statement is what I'm asking? One of the simple things that people can do just for their personal health is to understand the importance of trying to keep your body in a little bit more of an alkaline.
Alkaline and acids have to be equal. Just like he did with the nanovirus, he pushed a bunch of alkaline through it. That worked. But you must balance both. You can't, the propaganda is, the yield is, they're saying it's all alkaline. No, acids and alkaline have to be both. The implants and attachments exist within the acidic realm.
And a lot of foods, and a lot of processed foods, and a
Why do you
lot of
think they
things like
put it in
that.
there so that you're more susceptible to all these parasites?
So again, remember, trying to also alkaline yourself. I think one of the simpler things, if you agree, or if you can think of something even more simple, lemon water is a great way to help balance
Breaks
that
down
out.
into alkaline, yes.
Yeah, and so it's a great way to kind of help balance that out. But again, instead of going all melodramatic about these things, stay with just simple things that work with health, and help instead of worrying, do I have the money to buy this next fancy fad or this next fancy fad? Just do simple things. I hope you would agree with that statement.
Yes, and they speed you along to the next disgusting fad, let's just say, to get you to not take care of your body, and then you become well, less than human at that point,
Right.
because of vice. It's vice. It's always about vice.
Right.
And no, I want to point out before George, cool it a minute. I do want to point out, he's melodramatic, but I do want to point out that David Wilcock and I have absolutely no association whatsoever. He is not a piece of this oversoul or fragmentarian, never has he been.
But you know what? He was made to believe he was.
You are correct.
Okay, and I'm saying this, and I said it correctly. He was made to believe he is.
Agent.
So
Agent, not basically knowing and unknowing. Maybe a little bit of thinking about it, but sleeper agent's too strong. It's more of influence to believe.
Right. So I think that's why we hate talking about people.
And a bit of an insectoid presence, but not necessarily bad. But I'm just saying, your Corey Good was an aviary agent, though, I will say. I know you hate doing that, but that was a curiosity of himself. So yes, George. Okay. You are the last one. Not a conga line.
No conga line today.
You are the method actor of the group. And what you said was absolutely correct. Lovely work on your part. But fine. Let's do this. I will return tomorrow because the actor wishes to act out. So, all right. I thank you for letting me talk. I'll show you method acting. Do I do this to make a point? Do I see your governments and your politics of the world mirroring that of my work, just like they feel they must honor Sun Tzu's work, The Art of War, then whatever militaristic presence they do they then take my work and then turn it into a user's manual? As the meme joke has said. I did not mean it as an instruction manual. I meant it to inform about people, about what went on, not have them reflected outward, and back to Edgar's work about the channeling of Ra, I might add. What did that turn into there, brother? A mouthpiece for those that were the bad guys, the Egyptian pantheon, and they basically were the fireman and the arsonist, and they basically told you all what you were doing through 3 channelers, of which did not know this until it was too late. 2 have died. 1 is actually, unfortunately, mentally not stable. That particular individual was worried for himself when he channeled Ra. Who's melodramatic again there with their Mr. Pyramids? But anyway, one cannot cast the largest stone at myself, or he who is without sin casts the first stone, I believe the line is. Okay. Anyway, we're done kicking each other in the balls. But We met on the other side, you see. And yes, I know, they're, Mr. Suit and Tie and, me, I don't give a crap what I look like. Much like himself, he doesn't care. I was the same way. I just wanted to write. From Animal Farm to the Battle of the Cowshed kind of thing, to the governments of the world utilizing, like 9/11, for instance, Battle of the Cowshed in Animal Farm. Same thing where it was used to reminisce back to that awful moment, but the details got convoluted over a period of time. Give it another 25, 30 years, they would try to take 9/11 and convolute it even more. And good people are using it as a rallying cry as well, and good compassionate things, but then you have it being a cornerstone of filth as well. And your Family Guy, I saw, brought this up as well, where you saw Brian undoing 9/11, and the statement was being made that timeline went down the toilet because they weren't able to have a cornerstone watershed or Battle of the Cowshed effect, the type of thing. So it was one of those fixed points that once it's unfixed, untethered, it caused chaos. Other places, or like in your parallel universe sliders program, where Hitler didn't exist in one, and there was no way humanity learned how not to act a certain way, but with the racism and the Nazistic way of being. So yes, there is something to be said about certain things happening, and the lesser of two evils, which the greater one was more your fake alien invasion, or they wanted you to believe this, you see. Like with your Independence Day, taking your independence away from you. Your Jeff Goldblum's computer said it was at 9/11/01 on the computer, and it was 1996 when that movie came out. They were planning that whole pile of horse shit beforehand. They're doing this in stages because, as I said, when all of everything is exhausted from them, they will try to utilize force. They have wanted to do this for ages, but they are obligated to go through their laundry list first. Watch for the laundry list. Watch for all these things. Yes, look at my material, but at the same time, don't use it as a guidebook of co-creating a path either. Same with Edgar's material. With his, what was that you came up with again? The half the continent would fall into the ocean. That's a little worse than mine, actually. But that's another timeline that has not come to pass. People are interlocked, saying, "Oh, the pole shifting is." Well, you get the idea. And they're saying, oh, this factor, because the animals are going here, there's global warming here. Yes, there is something happening, but it's being artificially inflated by terraforming. But is half of the continent going to fall in the ocean? That is an alternate timeline by which then he was seeing. That is not to be taken as sacrosanct. Neither is mine as a guidebook or a Bible, but as a guidebook to know what your enemy is doing. So,
Right.
brief question.
Well, I think that all of this, with all of you guys coming in, it seems to be the theme is that, no one got it all right.
No, I didn't, he didn't. We just sandbag each other in spirit for
it. But again, it just goes to show that, to what I, kind of said in the beginning, that no matter what happens, you've got certain forces that are going to look at it to see, how can I use this? How can I use this inspiration that's come out over here, or this what's come over here? How can I use this for the agenda that I am trying to forward? And that really, really, has happened over time. And, you could be a great soul coming in with your laundry list of how you're not going to succumb to some of this stuff. And it's a lot harder when you actually are boots on the ground.
Very difficult. The oversouls bash each other constantly like this. They're constantly kicking each other in their etheric nutsack. But with this, though, we bash each other, but we knew each other before we even came in. So
how do you feel about your contribution then, and the information you put out? I mean,
I feel pretty good about this, and Frank Frazetta was the same way with his artwork. No more people showing up. Okay. No, they're just observing. Frank was around the other day anyway. You know his story. Basically tits, pretty much, and butts, so,
Right.
an ass, but, I can't exactly object that the oversoul chose that route, Frank. You took the easy route, you lazy bastard, but anyway, we did the political route, he did the Jesus Egyptian route, and you just chose tits, so, okay. Great, cool. You forwarded the artistic movement, but you took the easy route.
Right.
But anyway, the true you did, yeah, okay. Anyway, with this, if you want the drama to end, if you want the theater puppets to end, if you want uh, a different ending to your story, make sure they cannot enact their final solution, their ending, their magnum opus. If you think they're done, they're not done until you tell them they're done. It's not just going to run out a clock. Some mysterious energetic force is going to come in, spirit's going to come in and wipe them from the game board. Absolutely not. That is why people are here to maintain their own spaces and audit their own space. I'm not just dramatic now. I am, well, all the time. But I then challenge all of you to look into further the world around you, not only in the political arena, not just looking into on Wikipedia or the internet or the television. Look into all of this. Look into life. Look into yourselves. Look into what you wish to attach to and detach to. Look into my material too, and Edgar's, because there are clues as to what these people are doing. I channeled the information myself too, but in a dramatic way that got through the two people, either in fictional form or poetic prose. Did I wish that these things would not come to pass and be used as a guidebook? Yes, but the best laid plans of mice and men often gang away. As Steinbeck said, no, he will not be talking. Some do not wish it, some just wish their names spoken across the cosmos about like some, well, saga. We'll say. So, I should probably detach. His nervous system is being taxed because apparently there's been too many people today.
It's been a little Congo line.
Edgar, oh, Frank, you fine. Goodbye. Since I've been here before, I will say George is 100% correct. I came in to paint tits and ass.
And you did a fine job, apparently.
Yes, and I even made Frazetta Land free for all lovely ladies. And as your friend Susan said in private, no wonder I liked you for some reason. Yes, I liked women of all sizes. So just say, as long as they weren't wearing any clothing. That's all I wanted to say. I am sorry for intruding. And so, hello everybody. Yes, my artistic stuff came in at the right time. My art came in. My film career came in at the right time. All of it. So, I will come back and talk again at some point. So, goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right. Ugh.
Geez, didn't expect that.
Yeah, I know they all know each other. So over there, that's fairly evident they know each other because they're all kicking each other in the balls. So it's like saying, "What accomplishment did you achieve on Earth again?" Oh yeah, that one. Where they said Frank took the easy route. That's funny. They did this big like dramatic achievement, and he's like, boobs. So that's why. So it took the easy route. It's like that movie you and I watched that time. What was it with the children that knew they were coming in for a purpose? Some not always good. and they were traumatized to it ahead of time, but they knew they had to change something down here.
Oh, you Bluebird.
Bluebird, yes. So that's kind of how that's how these guys are interacting. I didn't like how the fact the angels were forcing it, or the guides were forcing it in the movie. That's more soul trap-ish type crap to me. But the rest of that interaction seemed right to me. Like, yes, I'm going to come in as a freedom fighter, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to come in as a child that doesn't live long, things like that. That's the kind of stuff they actually do over here. And I've seen souls that have never experienced stuff here come in to say, "Oh, now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do that." That's true how they depicted that, and I found that interesting. So, yes, yes. Oh, why is somebody doing this? Okay, for time. Okay, I guess they're telling me to shut up. Okay, all right. Thank you, everybody, for the conga line today. Man, that was a lot of you. Okay. Yes. All right. Now we are at a point, now at the very end. Thanks for getting through all of this, by the way. I thought this was going to be a short one. Evidently, the questions were short so that there'd be a conga line of channelers. I think they prefer it that way, by the way, to where they have multiple voices going through one brain. Okay, so we will go into the last affirmation and blessing here. To all seeking peace, you must become it. To all becoming peace, you must live in it. To all living in peace, you must remain in it. Vesa. So there's your fortune cookie knowledge for the end of this, and she will probably want to punch me in the face for that one. But anyway, we are now at this point in the show. Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
You guys enjoyed it.
I hope you enjoyed this one, folks. I like the more channeling of the answers of the questions like that better, personally. So I now close this circle with true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now.